Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my review of the brand new release by Zelos, the Comet. And my apologies that this review is a couple of days late. I usually try to get Zelos content up early because they sell out pretty quickly. And indeed, a couple of the colour variants sold out within minutes apparently. But there are still plenty of others available if you're keen. Now, you saw the pop-up. This video is sponsored by Zelos. I will therefore, of course, leave a link to the Comet landing page in the description of the video. But what is a Zelos Comet? Well, it's as if the Skyraider and the Nova had a love child together. It's kind of a dressy pilot's watch manual winder with the usual range of interesting dial colour variants and Zelos' signature looks. Let's flip the camera and have a look. Indeed, let's look, and let's look at the prices first of all, as this always helps to add context. 6 different variants this time around, 4 of them at $529 USD, 2 of them at $569 USD, and it seems that price has been no barrier to sales, as it is the 2 expensive exotic dials that have now both sold out. The black and white tuxedo is the Captain Sensible of the bunch. Salmon has been the Zelos hot ticket in previous models, but still available to buy this time around. Steel blue, another sensible combo, if you like blue that is. And then there is a NASA tie-in. More on that later, which leaves the 2 now sold out models: Gold Carbon, which is a forged carbon dial infused with bronze to get the gold colour, and the Aventurine, which is the hot ticket for this particular model and is sold out. Aventurine is the one that I got to review, by the way, and I can see why it is now sold out, and sold out so fast. Let's put it that way. Well, if you're a fan of the brand, then this all looks very familiar, I'm sure. It's their new aluminium box, with 1 slot for the watch you just purchased and 2 slots for 2 more Zelos which you probably own. They're a very Moorish brand, Zelos. I know of no other micro that commands such loyalty as Zelos. Chances are if you own one, you own several. In fact, leave me a comment, let me know how many Zelos you currently have in your collection and the model names. I will pin the comment from the person who has the most Zelos currently in their collection. And it's the usual little warranty card in copper. And there it is. I think it is a lovely looking wee thing, this one. Fits me perfectly. It is right up my street in terms of size and the way it wears on my wrist, as you'll see later on. Like I said in the intro, definitely has elements of a number of other Zelos from the past. In some ways, it's a bit of a Zelos greatest hits, if you will. It has the vintage pilot thing happening, like the Skyraider, the Arabics on the evens. It's got that train track around the outer edge and the skeletonized handset. The crown is pretty much a miniature version of the Skyraider crown. In fact, there you go, case in point, it is very, very similar. I also think that there are elements in here that remind me of the Starfighter, particularly in terms of the case, the angles and the complexity there, and it is sized very much like the Nova from 2021 was. That size being 39mm in diameter, only 9.7mm thick, scraping crucially under the 1cm of thickness, 45mm lug to lug, 20mm lug width, and on the supplied Horween strap, this one weighs in at a mere 63 grams. Case, crown and bezel all made from 316L stainless steel. It's just a push-pull crown, still manages 50 meters of water resistance, and that is a boxed domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective undercoating. The strap should also be very familiar looking if you're into Zelos. It's the standard issue Horween cross-stitched quick release. I will never complain about these straps. They really are fantastic. They smell great. They're super supple, super comfortable, and it has nice matching brushed hardware with the Zelos end and some attractive angles. Talking of angles then, let's have a look at this case. I think the case finish is excellent here and very reminiscent of that Starfighter. Zelos managed to put so much into a small case, and yet it still doesn't look fussy or overdone or overcomplicated, I don't think. There's a pronounced vertical brush on the side, high polished chamfers to those lugs, and a multi-finish bezel that cuts back in on the case. Overall, very nicely done, and that wee crown is grippy yet unobtrusive, again with the Zelos Z etched into it. Now let's talk movement. Screw-on stainless steel and sapphire display case back. I did mention in the intro that it's a manual winder. It's a Sellita SW215, which is basically an SW200 with the rotor and some other parts removed. 19 joules, 42-hour power reserve, and a beat rate of 28,800. This is the standard version, which has an accuracy of plus or minus 30 seconds per day. Let's test that, shall we? Well, it's certainly running within those tolerances, isn't it? -1 second per day with a healthy amplitude and 0 beat error. It would make a pretty good daily. Not sure how many people will run this one as a daily, but there you are. It's perfectly possible, so long as you remember to wind it roughly every 40 hours. And now let's look at the dial and hands. Look, I would normally show you the watch here from various angles outside under my macro lens, including the high shot, the low shot, the left angle, the right angle, etc, 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 as you can see here. I would talk about the applied Arabics, the skeletonized hands, the well-integrated date complication at the 6 o'clock with colour match date wheel. But these static pics do not do the aventurine dial justice at all. It's only when I start to move the watch around that this one really begins to come to life with that never-ending, always changing sparkly effect. But even then, it's only when this watch moves into direct sunlight that it really starts to pop. Now, I have used 2 different cameras today, 2 different lenses here to try and do this watch justice, but I'm still not sure if I am going to be able to do this watch justice. The effect is stunning of that dial. Assuming you like the effect that is, it might be a bit too much for some, but judging by how fast this one has sold out and how many people were on the Zelos Facebook group moaning about how fast it sold out, I think it's clear a lot of people do like that effect. It was interesting to note that the salmon-dialed Nova was the one to have, and yet the salmon-dialed Comets are still available for purchase. The Aventurines, on the other hand, are sold out. One might even say that in 2022, Aventurine is having its moment in the sunshine. What? What? I thought that was good. I thought that was clever. Tough crowd. There's pretty good lume on these as well, by the way. Always a bit of a Zelos signature, even in their dressier, non-dive models. BGW9 and plenty of it. The initial effect is very pleasant with that painted train track glowing, which I certainly wasn't expecting. You turn up the speed and that soon fades, but there's enough lume on the dial and hands to keep everything legible. And it wears really nicely, I think, on my 7-inch wrist. Again, you can see just how dynamic that Aventurine, the sparkly dial, is. It's slim at less than a centimetre, it's compact at 45 lug to lug. Additionally, those lugs point in and point down quite dramatically, and the Horween strap is comfortable. Overall, a treat on wrist. Yeah, definitely dressy, pilotty. It still retains a fair degree of legibility thanks to that broad handset and those Arabic numerals, even when viewed from above. Back outside for the usual shots there. Maybe a bit more anti-reflective undercoating would not have gone amiss underneath that box domed sapphire crystal, but overall, yeah, it's still pretty legible and still pretty good for the style of watch that this one is. And that's it on wrist again. I know 39 is not suitable for everybody. I know people switch off literally and figuratively at anything under 40. They've probably gone about 5 minutes ago, but I think it suits the overall style and intent of this watch nicely. And the pocket shot again to finish with this one. 63 grams is nice and light. I thought perhaps this watch would have been better in titanium, but it's so light anyway, it doesn't really need it. But there are always moans and there are always niggles. What's the first thing I moan about in every single Zelos review?
The 1-year warranty!
Does anybody care?
No!
But I still complain about it anyway. Let's circle back to that NASA tie-in, shall we? On a retro-modern hand-wound dressy pilot thing? I mean, I quite like the white colour variant, but this is now the 3rd brand that I've seen the NASA logo on. I think it's in danger of becoming so commonplace as to be, if not meaningless, then certainly less meaningful than it used to be, and I'm just not quite sure this was the best model to do a NASA collab with. And I wish they had signed the plate on the back of the movement. A Zelos Z there would have sealed the deal for this one as far as the rear end view is concerned. It would have taken that to the next level and shown a little bit more attention to detail in the watch design overall. As it is, it's the standard grade of movement. It's a little bit meh. It needed an extra element and unfortunately it didn't get it. And the pricing of $529 for the standard variants I think is okay but not stellar, considering that is only a standard grade of movement and it comes on a leather strap and not a bracelet of some kind. And to finish where we started, How many Zelos have you got in your collection already? Is this Comet going to duplicate some of the utility that you already get from a Zelos watch in your collection, whether that be a Skyraider, a Starfighter, or more specifically the Nova? I think if you already have a Nova in your collection, I'm not sure whether you'll rush out and jump on one of these Comets, but if you don't have a Nova in your collection and one of the remaining colour variants that hasn't sold out catches your eye, you can't really go too far wrong with a Zelos. They are always but always easy watches to sell if you find it lurking in your box or you just need to liquidate a couple of pieces for whatever reason in 6 months' time. But I suspect the people that were online when these were launched and did snag one of those hot colour variants will be hanging on to theirs for far longer than 6 months. So there you have it, another Zelos that if you were lucky enough to snag one of the hot colour variants is bound to hold its value. Better than pretty much anything else this side of a Rolex. Talking of Zelos that are now highly collectible, check out my review of this watch's dad, the Skyraider 1 or the Skyraider 2. Thanks for watching, see you again soon.